When tyrants tremble as they hear the bells of freedom ringing, when friends rejoice both far and near, how can I keep from singing? To prison cell and dungeon vile, our thoughts to them are winging. When friends by shame are undefiled, how can I keep from singing?
Good morning. Welcome to our online service of Kitsap Unitarian Universalist Fellowship. I invite you to follow along in our order of service. We'll put the link in the chat. Whoever you are and wherever you come from, or whatever your comfort is with digital technology, for this hour, we are here, one gathered congregation, and all are welcome. My name is Lisa Johnson. KUUF has been part of my life for the past 20 plus years. And I've thought a lot about this time of isolation, and I'm so grateful that we have KUUF to keep us in touch with each other, to continue with these services, and today to have our Reverend Jessica back with us again. I also serve as co-president of the board with the redoubtable Terry Mallory. Our worship leader this morning, as I said, is Reverend Jessica Star Rockers. Welcome home, Reverend Jessica. And I'd like to welcome any visitors. Please introduce yourself in the chat room. We welcome more interactions with all during our after service Zoom coffee hour. The link will be in the chat soon. You'll need to use the password LIFE, capital L-I-F-E, to be admitted to the coffee hour. And if you're phoning in today, welcome. If you want to join the coffee hour by phone, the number to call is 1-253-215-8782. I'll give that to you again. 1-253-215-8782. The meeting ID is 438-451-134, and the password is 8533-2070. The announcements are on our website at KUUF, www.kuuf.org, or our weekly email newsletter, The Candle. I would like to start today by acknowledging that the land on which we all live is the Aboriginal territory of the Suquamish, the S'Klallam, and the Skokomish people. They have lived in harmony with the lands and waterways along Washington's Central Salish Sea for thousands of years. These tribes still live here and protect the land and waters of their ancestors for future generations, as promised by the Point Elliott Treaty of 1855. And now you're invited to light a personal chalice or candle in your home as we read these chalice lighting words. And yet you persist, by Reverend Gretchen Haley. Though you have been warned and given plenty of explanations, reasons to do otherwise, you have persisted to claim a life of joy and justice, to carve out this time, this space for the renewal of your own heart. Despite all the reasons, the resistance fighting for your attention, luring you towards fear, you persist to practice gratitude for this day, this life that has been given, this chance to begin again. And so let us gather that we might offer one another courage, strength, healing, hope, and this promise to persist in kindness, persevere in compassion, and prevail in a life that is for more than ourselves. Come, let us worship together. Now, please join in singing our opening hymn, For the Beauty of the Earth. The words will appear on your screen. Please join me in the spoken affirmation. The words are there on your screen. We gather as a caring community, seeking life's deeper meanings. We value diversity and affirm the worth of all living things. We strive to speak truth in love, to act for justice, to grow in spirit, and to care for the earth. We celebrate with open hearts and minds the creative power that sustains and transforms us. And now it is time for our offering. To make an online contribution, please click on the PayPal link in the chat box. You may email admin@kuuf.org to let us know if your donation is for the KUUF General Fund, the minister's discretionary to help our members in need, or our monthly charitable giving recipient, which now in August is the Backpack Brigade. You may also send a check to the church's P.O. Box address, which is there on your screen. If this is your first time at KUUF, there is no need to contribute, as you are our guest. Now let there be an offering to strengthen and sustain our community, which is sacred to so many of us.
Good morning, everybody. It is now time for our children's story. So all of you children out there, the young and the young at heart, I invite you all to sit a little bit closer to the screen. I'm Reverend Jessica, and it's been a while, and you may have noticed I got a haircut. So did Liam. He got one too. And we are going to tell you the story of the carrot, the egg, and the coffee bean. And the story begins. A young man went to his mother and told her about his life and how things were hard for him. He did not know how he was going to make it, and he wanted to give up. He was tired of fighting and struggling. It seemed as one problem was solved, a new one arose. So his mother took him to the kitchen. She filled 3 pots with water, and in the first, she placed a carrot. You can see, I hope, the carrot. And in the second, she placed an egg. There you go. And in the last, you can set those down. And in the last, she placed some coffee beans. You can see the coffee beans. Okay. She let them sit and boil without saying a word. Several minutes later, she turned off the burners. She fished the carrot out, placed it in a bowl. She pulled out the egg and placed it in a bowl. And then she ladled the coffee, I'll help you out, Liam, into a bowl. And turning to her son, she asked, "What do you see?" And the son said, "I see a carrot, an egg, and some coffee." Now observe what happened to each one, the mother said. The carrot, let's look at the carrot. After we boiled the carrot got sort of soft and mushy. Oh, see, you can see it sort of fell apart. And the egg, after it's cooked, we all know what happens to an egg after it's cooked. It gets hard-boiled. But the coffee, well, you can smell it. The coffee is delicious. Now, each of these objects has faced the same adversity, boiling water, but each reacted differently. The carrot went in strong, but was turned to mush. The egg had been fragile, but its inside became hardened. And the coffee beans, though, were unique. They went into the water and changed the water. So which one are you? When adversity knocks on your door, how do you respond? Are you a carrot, an egg, or a coffee bean? Are you the carrot that seems strong but turns to mush when boiled? Are you the egg whose heart starts soft but becomes hardened? Or are you like the coffee bean? The bean actually changes the water. When the water gets hot, it releases the fragrance and flavor. If you're like the bean, when things are at their worst, you get better, and you make the world around you better too. Well, I hope we can all be coffee beans when things get difficult. And whatever it is that we do or however we react, it is important to let our lights shine, right? We haven't sung our song in a little while, so we're excited to sing this. And if you will join us, and I think William, who is actually the one who boiled our carrots and eggs this morning, I think he's going to sing with us too. If you guys remember how it goes and the hand movements?
Yes.
Okay.
I'll follow me.
Okay.
This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Everywhere I go, everywhere I go, I'm gonna let it shine. Everywhere I go, I'm gonna let it shine. Everywhere I go, gonna let it shine. Even when I'm afraid, I'm gonna let it shine. Even when I'm afraid, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. This little light of mine. This little light of mine. I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine. I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine. I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine.
It's so wonderful to sing that song again. Thank you all for singing with me, and thank you all for singing with us. So now is the time for our joys and our sorrows. Though we are physically distanced from one another, our hearts and our spirits remain connected. When shared together, our joys are amplified and our sorrows lessened. If you have a personal joy or sorrow to share, I invite you to put that in the chat this morning. And my joy, of course, is that I'm here with you all again, and it's such a joy to be back with you. Thank you, Arliss. And welcome, Jeanette, whose first time is here. We're so glad you're here today, Jeanette. I'm waiting for joys and sorrows to come in the chat. But until then, do you guys have any joy or sorrow you want to share this morning?
I'm happy to be back.
Yeah,
Oh, good. Yeah. Everybody's happy to be back. Oh, good. We have joy that Rowan got to meet her great-grandfather. That's so exciting. Candace has a joy, a new granddaughter that was born on July 2nd. Congratulations, Candace. My granddaughter Marie and the rest of her family is doing great. I feel blessed that I got to go to South Dakota and spend 2 weeks with them. How wonderful. Marcy has a sorrow. Previous KUUF member, John Stillwell, recently lost his father. So our hearts go out to you, John, and your whole family. Sorrow, Diane and Rachel said goodbye to their beloved boy cat, Patsy, last week. We're so sorry about the loss of Patsy. Mary Ellen, sad to read the death of Etta Frazier, who was a longtime friend of KUUF and a treasured member of the art community in Bremerton. Hold Etta in our hearts, Etta and her whole family. Bob's son Eric is graduating with his BA today in Florida after many, many years of attempts. Congratulations, Eric. Joey, my sorrow is that the vet said Beast has a serious heart murmur and I need $500 to get an echocardiogram. Oh, I'm so sorry. Our hearts go out to you and Beast. Ginny has a joy that a close friend is pregnant. Tara says Soren's joy is playing with his cousins yesterday. How wonderful. Rebecca, my sorrow is that it is the 25th anniversary this month of my little brother's disappearance. He's been missing all these years. Oh, Rebecca, our hearts are with you and your brother and your whole family. Lori has a joy. I just enrolled in online culinary school. Congratulations, Lori. Nathan's joy is that Morgan has lost his first tooth. Congratulations, Morgan and Nathan. Bonner, joy to see our minister and her family back in our virtual pulpit. We're really glad to be back. Thank you, Bonner. Ellen, sorrow with the death of Bob Cairns. We share in that sorrow with you, Ellen and Alan. And from Bill and Terry, how hard this COVID separation is for daughter Erin, who doesn't understand. And our hearts are with you, Bill and Terry and Erin. Well, thank you everyone for sharing. May you who shared this morning feel the love of this community holding you close. We are surrounding you. And we have, Cora also wants to share her joy of playing with her cousins yesterday. So we see you, Cora. We're sharing that joy with you. And for all those whose joy or sorrow is too tender to share in the chat this morning, our hearts are with you. May the spirit of life and love bring peace to us all. Amen, and blessed be.
Find a meaning. The average man, the man on the street or the woman on the street, may find a meaning in experiencing something, the beauty, the truth as a researcher, or the good in dealing with people as a teacher, or finding a meaning in experiencing without doing anything, without achieving or accomplishing anything, but just in giving oneself to the immediate experience of something, say, beautiful going on in the world. But there is also another aspect of experiential values, experiencing someone. More than that, experiencing another human being in his or her very uniqueness. And it is the main attribute of a human being that he is a person in contrast to any animal. He is a person, and a person is always something absolutely unique, irrepeatable in the evolution of the cosmos, as it were, incomparable with any other human being. And this uniqueness can be got hold of solely by a loving person, because he not only sees the essence, but also the potentials in the beloved person, thereby, as I put it before, promoting him, alleviating it to reach out to attain this potential and to fulfill and thereby actualize also himself. If there is no possibility in a given situation to fulfill the meaning of a situation by giving oneself to the experience of beauty and so forth, nor to, if you have lost the capability to do your job, to do your work, even then there is an ultimate possibility to find and fulfill meaning. Not only the ultimate, it is even the potential to fulfill the deepest meaning, to attain the highest values. By your approach to the situation, a tragic or triste situation confronting you. But all the more what counted and mattered was what you were, being rather than having, possessing anything, or the being. So what counted was what you make out of this situation. with what attitude you adopt in the given situation. And there's a multitude, a wealth of possible attitudes to how to approach it. So you have to decide. And if you have, for instance, if you have suffered, gone through this suffering, honestly, courageously, and with dignity, who in the world, what in the world can deny, can annihilate this?
Well, I am so grateful to be back with you here, worshiping together as we do in this way. I've been on vacation, as you may have noticed. And when I went on vacation at the beginning of July, I felt very tired, I'll be honest. Among other things, the switch over to online worship in the spring was intense, and I do want to take a minute to express my deep gratitude to the worship team for their enthusiasm and their willingness to try new things and experiment. And the worship team has just been amazing, so amazing that they were able to continue in my absence and give me a little time off, and that was exciting to be able to step away for a moment and take a breath. And so I'm very, very grateful for that. And I'm grateful to our music team as well. I really can't say enough about how wonderful and talented Mike and Brian and Elena are. How much these online services ask of all of us and how much effort we put into them. And so thank you, Brian and Mike and Elena, for all you have done and continue to do to make our worship services so meaningful. During my time off, I had a chance to reflect on the first half of 2020 and all that transpired. The pandemic and the protests, social distancing and learning Zoom, and trying to stay informed but not overwhelmed by the daily news cycle. And I began to imagine how we might move forward together through this strange time for the upcoming months and into the new year. My job as your minister is to support this community as we figure this out as individuals and as a collective, staying connected with one another, connected with our deepest held values, and connected to the meaning that we seek to make from our lives and the life of this fellowship. We can't control the external circumstances in which we find ourselves, but together we do get to say what it means. We get to tell the story of this time. Will we be carrots or eggs or coffee beans? How we respond, the choices we make or don't make, is part of the writing of our story. And I read a wonderful book during my break titled Yes to Life in Spite of Everything by Viktor Frankl. This is a newly published book, a collection of the lectures that Frankl gave in the months after World War II, after he was liberated from a Nazi concentration camp, where he spent several years of his life. These lectures went on to become the notes for his most famous book, Man's Search for Meaning. Man's Search for Meaning is a core text for me and probably for a lot of us. It's one of those books that affects people fundamentally. Its wisdom and insight is transformative. In it, Frankl explains how he survived his years of imprisonment and torture and what he learned from them about life and about the will to meaning, as he calls it. Each human has a will to meaning that must be expressed. And there are 3 ways this happens. You heard a little bit about this in the recording of Viktor Frankl that played a moment ago. These 3 ways are work or purposeful labor, through love and appreciation of beauty, that's number 2, and through one's attitude, particularly in the face of great struggle and adversity. Now, Viktor Frankl endured a horrific set of circumstances, ones with which our current circumstances, of course, cannot compare. But he gave us a gift in his lectures and his writing. He gave us the opportunity to learn from his experiences. He shared this willingly, encouraging us that when we do suffer, no matter if it feels insignificant in comparison, that it is meaningful. And through struggle, life often speaks to us. Through struggle, we are given the opportunity to engage even more deeply with life in all of its beauty and pain. Viktor Frankl writes, ultimately, humanity should not ask, what is the meaning of one's life, but rather must recognize that it is we who are asked, In a word, each person is questioned by life, and each person can only answer to life by answering for their own life. To life, we can only respond by being responsible. Reading this quote, I was reminded of a scene from the movie Field of Dreams, and a lot of you have probably seen it. In it, the main character, Ray, hears a voice, and the voice says, "If you build it, he will come." And Ray sees a vision of a baseball diamond in the back cornfield of his farm, and so he builds it. He plows the corn under and builds a baseball field at great cost to himself and his family. And then the voice asks him to do a few other things, all of which are difficult and cost him dearly and put him at odds with his family. And in the end, he sees these sacrifices he has made, and he finally turns and says, "I've done everything I was asked, and now I want to know, what's in it for me?" As I looked at everything we have been through these last few months, and all we've had to do, the ways we've stayed home when asked, closed our buildings, canceled our services, we were told not to mask, save the masks for essential workers. Then we were told to mask everywhere all the time. We've learned new technology, learned to ask for help, learned to offer help, all the time staying away from one another if at all possible. We've made hard choices and continue to make them about who we visit and whether we travel and how much risk we are willing to take and how many others we're willing to include in that risk, how we should protest and how often and how sometimes we can't. And we have felt the guilt of this and carried it quietly. And some of us have kept our choices hidden for fear of judgment. And some of us have expressed doubts about this whole thing. And some of us have expressed fear. And I thought of all this, and I prayed that we would get some relief. I was looking for that phase 3. I get text updates from Kitsap County Health Board, so they send a link and I check it every day. And every day, throughout the month of July, I was seeing what you all have been seeing, I'm sure. Cases rising, phase 3 on hold, phase 2 rolled back a little bit. After all we have been through, I couldn't help but think, we've done everything you asked. Don't we deserve a little reprieve? In other words, what's in it for me? Instead of some relief, I watched life continue to unfold in ways that felt unfair. Black and brown bodies still at risk, federal agents deployed into cities inciting violence, people snatched off the street without cause or warning. Seems there's been a new injustice every day. And as I read Frankl's book, I began to shift from asking, what's in it for me, to what is the meaning of all this? What is the meaning of all this? Frankl says that in fact, it is life that is asking us that question. And not only must we answer it, we can only respond with our own lives. We can only respond by being responsible for ourselves and for one another. As you use, members and friends of this fellowship, this responsibility is deeply theological for us. It is our commitment to this community and to all of humanity to be responsible for one another, to care for one another, to live into the truth that our lives are interconnected in ways that we can see and in ways we cannot. Interconnected with all life. We are called through our 7 principles, through our covenants with one another. We are called to say yes to life, to wake up each day and see all that is before us and say yes again. As John Lewis often said, we get into good trouble. Take life as it is and make it meaningful, make it count. In that scene I spoke of earlier from Field of Dreams, it turns out that the voice that Ray keeps hearing, the one that has been calling him forward, is his own voice. And it's not in it for the reward. It's calling him towards healing, toward community, toward deeper relationships, and to witness to the meaning in small things, like the beauty of a cornfield at dusk, or the magic of a game of baseball, or the joy in playing that game with someone you love. What is life asking of us right now? What meaning is that voice calling us to witness to? What good trouble can we get ourselves in? Right before the pandemic hit and everything shut down, we celebrated our 70th anniversary as a fellowship. We could have waited until our 75th, but we decided, why wait? Who says we can't celebrate both? And so we had the opportunity to ground ourselves in our history before we were given an entirely new challenge, one that this community all those years ago could not have anticipated. But here we are, still gathering, because it's not the building, even though I love and miss gathering in our sanctuary, and it's not being together physically, though that too is important and valuable. But we have proof right here on Zoom that it is more. And we have made meaning right here. We have said yes in spite of everything. We have affirmed that we are a fellowship, even here, even now, especially now. We are living our lives into the meaning of this moment, answering as it asks us these questions, living out the story, making choices each day to reach out to one another, to show up in the face of great challenges, and to say yes once again. This is the question life asks us every day, every moment. What matters? And when we struggle a bit or we struggle a lot, the answer is made even more clear. And it doesn't have to be grand, doesn't have to impress. It only has to reach outward toward that which is most meaningful. In this community, as Unitarian Universalists gathered in faith and hope, gathered in justice and in peace, our will to meaning is expressed through service to one another in our community, through witnessing to the beauty of nature and love and humanity, and through our resilience, rising above the circumstances of this moment to make community where we find it. So thank you to all of you who remain connected, who stay connected, who show up, who ask for help, and who offer it. We cannot say what the months ahead will hold, but together we will uplift one another, we will hold on to one another, and we will continue the story of this fellowship as one blessed, beloved community on this journey together.
Trust the movement, I negate the chaos, uplift the negative. I'll show up at the table again and again and again. I'll close my mouth and learn to listen. Whoa, whoa, oh, oh. Whoa, whoa, oh, oh. Whoa, whoa, oh, oh. Whoa, whoa, oh, oh. Whoa, whoa. Are poignant, the winds have shifted. It's all we can do to stay uplifted. Pipelines through backyards, wolves howling out front. Yeah, I got my crew, but truth is what I want. Realigned and on point, power to the peaceful, prayers to the waters, women at the center, all vessels open to give and receive. Let's see the system brought down to its knees. Whoa, 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 ooh, 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 whoa, 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 ooh, ooh, ooh. I'm made of thunder, I'm made of lightning, I'm made of dirt, yeah, made of the fine things. My father taught me that I'm a speck of dust and this world was made for me. So let's go and try our luck, say I've got my roots down, 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 down deep. I've got my roots down, 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 down deep. I've got my roots down, down, down deep. I've got my roots down, down, down deep. So what are we doing here? What has been done? What are you gonna do about it when the world comes undone? My voice feels tiny, and I'm sure so does yours. Put us all together, make a mighty I am resilient, I trust the movement, I negate the chaos, uplift the negative. I'll show up at the table again and again and again. I'll close my mouth and learn to listen.
I invite you now to set an intention and choose your word for the week ahead. You can choose a word or phrase, and if you feel called to, put it in the chat, and I will read them aloud. Progress. Beloved dignity. Progress. Kindness. Patience. Breathe and keep saying yes. Clarity of purpose. Resilience. Yes. Divinity. Perseverance. Vision. Calm. Balance. Find, create joy. Private witness. Courage. Live life with joy. Abolition. Anticipation. Meeting life with love and curiosity. Centered. Thank you, everyone, for sharing your words. Connection. Flexibility and grounding. May these words resonate in our hearts as we go about our week. And now it is time for our closing hymn, Just as Long as I Have Breath.
Just as long as I have breath, I must answer yes to life. Though with pain I made my way, still with hope I meet each day. If they ask what I did well, tell them I said yes to life. Just as long as visionless, I must answer yes to truth. In my dream and in my dark, always that elusive spark. If they ask what I did well, tell them I said yes to truth. Just as long as my heart beats, I must answer yes to love. Disappointment pierced me through, still I kept on loving you. If they ask what I did best, tell them I said yes to love.
Well, thank you everybody for being here today. Please join us after this for coffee hour. The link and the password will appear again on the screen, and I will put it in the chat. If you are calling in on the phone, the number to call is the same number that you use to access this webinar, but the meeting ID is 438-451-134, and the password is LIFE, capital L-I-F-E. And I know that there's a number actually that goes along with that, which I think was mentioned earlier. So let us now extinguish our chalices. May we carry the light of this flame, letting it burn bright in our hearts until we are together again. Amen. Ashe. May it be so.